Okay, you're good to go.
Hey everyone, sorry for the delay. We had a few technical difficulties getting the show started today.
Yeah, like I didn't turn my alarm on.
Well, we had other
Step one.
difficulties too because we're trying to launch Kyle's new amazing course, and we are having trouble with the course website, and so we were trying to get that as well. So we had a number of technical difficulties, but
We definitely felt like a lot of internet pros right there in the last hour.
yeah, but boy did we scramble.
I think we work well under pressure.
So if you haven't heard about it, which, many of you may not, you are probably hearing about this for the very first time in your life. We have a group called Internet Marketing Gold, and you should come join now. Get one of those really low member numbers so that you can say you were in the first 1,000 members. Because eventually it's going to be like Slashdot and all these other places where your membership ID is like in the millions, and what can you do at that point? And everybody's like, oh, your member number 134, you're the guru. So be sure and get that low membership number by signing up now. And as a free gift, you get this whole SEO community that's amazing. So get your free member number, but get the free awesome community. What do you think, Kyle?
Oh, I definitely think you should have a low member number for sure. But I definitely think we'll hit the millions probably by month 3. Something that's actually been fun about this process is that so it's free to sign up, and there's going to be a lot in there that is just always going to be free. We're really trying to build a community, so that's the main focus is that, and that's the money that we've been putting in, is to build a platform where people can communicate in the best way that they want to, whether that's through their desktop or excuse me, through their phone. But then we're adding in things like the video series, and so it'll be a resource for you to get the information that you need about digital marketing, and that's been a lot of fun. So come on in, try it out. Yeah, join us. And then it's the kind of thing, this is the opportunity for you to get the digital marketing group you've always wanted. So if there's something that you see that you need or you like, or like it'd be great if something would do this, this is probably the one platform where, because we're building it, you can say like, hey, wouldn't it be great to have this? And if we can do it, then we'll do it. So yeah, come on in and join the community.
Awesome. And there's also this other amazing show called SEO This Week. So Clint, what can people expect on this amazing show?
This week we have a great discussion about the new rel attributes: no follow, user generated content, and sponsored, and the potential implications of such. And we also talk about looking at and examining those Google search quality guidelines and how to turn those into checklists for your team. So especially if you're dealing with issues with site drops from the Medic update, which Kyle talked about in previous episodes.
Don't believe it.
Awesome. So yeah, be sure to check that out. It's a huge time saver. He goes over a lot of articles as well. And so if you want to keep up on industry news, this is a great resource. So Kyle, what's up with this?
Here it is. It feels like this has been 4.5 years in the making, but so this is the on-page course that I'm releasing this year. It's going to be, what we're doing right now is a little early adopter kind of pricing. The course is being loaded into the platform that we're using to distribute the course. So the idea is that if you want to get in now, you can get in at an early adopter price. Basically, you'll get the course as it rolls. But today there'll be 21 videos in module 1, and module 1 will be done in a couple of days, and then all the videos as they go are just going to be continued to be loaded in. Ted, if I can share my screen, I'll go over to, and we apologize for the janky URL. That was part of the problem we were having in the last hour. And that's the URL that works for the moment.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you trying to grief our users with a
Yeah,
URL?
good Lord, that's awful. Fortunately, they're all small words, you know. We're not asking you to spell anything too difficult there. It will be a better URL shortly, but hey, that's what early adopters get to deal with, right? You know,
there's a direct link inside Internet Marketing Gold as well, right?
There shall be shortly.
Yeah. So,
and this is the very first announcement, but it will go into the IMG, and we're going to do this for 72 hours. So if you're seeing this, you're one of the IMG people, or you are in Pop, or you're a Quora person, like, you know, we wanted to present this to the people that we like the most first.
Yeah, because it's going to take at least 68 hours to type in the URL.
Clearly. So we're looking for the people that are willing to bear with that. Ted, can you make me the presenter so I can show my screen real quick?
I will stop sharing, and I think you have to opt into sharing on your end.
Cool. Let me know when you can see that.
Yep. So
this is the sales page. You can see there's a section on the lessons that are in here. These will change a little bit because as the videos get edited, we kind of tweak them a little bit. So, you know, this is ish, if you will. This will get updated. This is the general idea. But we're kind of rolling this out in conjunction with getting IMG out the door as well. And so if you're just interested in the course and the early bird pricing, it's $379, and that's great. Please do that. But
scroll back up. Check out that awesome T-shirt.
If that's something that interests you, that's just the next package up for $100. We were thinking that people might be interested in participating in this kind of launch and this rollout. So we've got some fun things that you can get in on if that's what you're interested in. So for $100 extra, you kind of get the IMG package, but it comes with 2 months of IMG. So that's a couple $100 saved right there. So if you were looking at getting an IMG, this is the kind of thing that, you know, gives you that money saved. 2 free weeks of Quora, 20 Pop credits if you don't have Pop, and then we will also we had a special a few months ago where we allowed people to get in at the agency price for half price. We'll allow that as well. So if you are already a Pop member and you like that agency price, we'll give that to you. You get a gold star in the IMG, a little extra for you, and then the T-shirt and your choice of an IMG sticker or a Fight Club sticker as well, if you want to put that on your laptop or what have you. So we thought this would be fun, things you might want to jump in on. Now, if you really want to go up, we've got a few slots for the VIP. And so you get all the stuff that's in the sponsor, and then you can get 1 hour with Ted or I. So will we be happy to do the consulting that we do? So you can jump on in and get that consulting. And then you can hijack Ted's green screen for an episode of Fight Club, or we'll give you a slide. So if you'd like a slide to promote something, obviously within reason. It's not just I pay for it.
No adult content, and
right,
nothing negative or liable.
Exactly. But so we'll give you a slide, and then we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about whatever you'd like to talk about, or you can hijack Ted's green screen, which Ted is not thrilled about, which makes it more fun for me. And that's also within reason as well. Ted only has so many capabilities. So if you want something super fancy, that might be something that you have to provide.
Yeah, if you do the green screen, all I can do is a static image.
So he claims.
All your dreams of animated backgrounds, they've just been crushed.
Unless you can do it, you can provide it to Ted, then that might be something.
Yeah. Unless it's something that Clint can work out from his end.
I mean, Clint has a lot of movement, I'd like to point out.
Yeah. I could be convinced for the right thing.
There you go. So we can have a lot of fun with that. But you know, as I mentioned before, IMG is your community. You know, that's what we're trying to build here. So I know there's a lot of people that want some involvement and would like some fun things, and so this is an opportunity just to do something fun. And in conjunction with the on-page course. So if the on-page course was something you were thinking about, here's an opportunity to jump in early and then get a good price on it. But then also, if you want to have some fun, we can have some fun. And that's what, if you want to, boy, you know, I didn't write this sales page because talking about myself is impossible, but it is an ode to me. That's so hard. I'm sure you guys have written sales pages before. It's the hardest thing. Because you know, you
Especially
want
when you're talking about yourself, because you don't want to come across as some kind of egomaniac that thinks
Yeah.
you're the greatest thing. So,
look at me. I need an entire web page dedicated to me.
Yeah. How many Kyle photos are on there? It's
Let's
like
see.
3 or 4.
So we got this video that I did today, and I actually changed my shirt intentionally. So people were like, "Did you do that today?" Yeah, I did it today. And then we got this one here. That's at In Orbit, which is in Slovenia, which is a wonderful conference. This one is DMSS in Bali, and you can tell by the handles that on the door behind me is they're very Balinese. You should go to that conference. That's a great conference. I think that's it. Oh, that is not me, although I have lost weight. That picture is not me there.
That's the after photo.
This is in Dallas, the spinal one. Stephen Kong lives in Dallas from SEO Signals Lab, and we put a little thing out to people who were in the group, like, hey, if you want to grab a drink, come on over. But that's kind of how, you know, Ted, Clint, and I are. Like, if you want to hang out and talk some SEO, let's talk some SEO, and that's what we're trying to bring to the table in IMG. I think that's the last picture of me. Yeah, that is. And there's my signature if you need to steal that for any forms you want to sign.
Yeah, I've got some contracts for you.
Good stuff. But anyways, I'll stop sharing. That's the course. Hit me with questions. There's a question. There was a good question about can my staff use it? Yeah, I don't think there's any problem with that. Obviously, don't be a douche and do a group buy. But if you are going to do a group buy, just contact me. Maybe I'll give you a better price for the group. But rather than steal it. But yeah, I think if your team needs to use it, I don't think there are any of those login restrictions. But I need to talk with Andy, who's done the lion's share of this great work putting this together.
Yeah, we can't guarantee that there won't be login restrictions. So
yeah, there's probably something, but I need to look into it. But yeah, if it's for your team, I don't have a problem with your team using the course, obviously. So
one question from the chat: is it a monthly thing or one time only?
that's a one-time fee. One time, and that's it. And then, not listed here is we're actually going to have a group a chat room just in IMG for it. So if you take the course, then you go, hey, in lesson whatever you said, blah blah blah, you'll have actually access to me to get those kind of answers, or other people in the group that may have asked before know the answer to it.
Sweet.
All right, let me try to figure out how to stop sharing. Stop sharing. It's a button.
Okay. Oh, so our topic. We're talking about learning for free on YouTube, because somebody told me that there is a big hubbub that you can't learn for free on YouTube. And I thought that was one of the silliest claims ever. And the reason I think that is, before YouTube, as a IT person, if I wanted to learn for free, the way we did it is we'd go to the computer section of the Barnes and Nobles. We'd find all the books we couldn't afford, and we'd sit down in the chairs and read them right there in the store. And so with the advent of the internet, we got YouTube, which is a phenomenal resource. And so you have to remember that YouTube is a tool. It's not perfect. You can do good work with it. You can do bad work with it, like any tool. And it's kind of intended to be used with other tools like courses and books and website reference materials and communities and software and services. And, most of what you'll find on YouTube will be amazing tutorials, explanations, inspiration, news, and entertainment and business. And so these are, kind of, what you can find. So what do you guys think about this topic?
I'm kind of in line with you. I started off reading books, but most of the stuff that I learned about SEO in my early days all came off of YouTube. One, because I hate reading, and two, I'm just a visual, hands-on learner, and the platform allows me to, I can do it that way. So to discount some of the good stuff that people are doing on YouTube and in anything like coding, like I learned Photoshop from YouTube. that kind of stuff. That, that is silly. And I think there's plenty more things that we can learn here.
But what's I think the reason that YouTube is successful is because it is the library, but it's a better way to search and it has more information, and you don't have to. I mean, the only thing it doesn't have is the public bathroom, which actually maybe it does. But after that, I mean, you can get just as much, if not more, information out of it. But yeah, I was
for
I
that.
I had a rental car a couple months ago, and the clock was wrong, and it was driving me insane. Like, it wasn't even just like, oh, it's off by an hour because the time change. It was just off by, it was set to clearly some other country plus minutes and minuses. But what was hilarious is that I looked it up in YouTube, and the first thing was, changing the clock in this car will drive you insane. Here's how to do it easily. And it took a minute and a half, and it saved my life. I was really ready to drive the car off the road at some point, but I don't know where else I would have gotten that information so quickly. And somebody doing actually a video of them actually doing it, the hands-on, the quick knowledge. It's I guess we sound like YouTube homers now, but
well, similarly, when I bought this house and I got the land with all the trees, I didn't know how to take care of date palms, but YouTube was a great source to learn about some of the things I needed to do to make sure, fertilization, keeping them clean, all that stuff. So it's
also low stakes learning.
Yeah.
It took you a few minutes to find the video. You watch the video. If it turned out to be wrong, you wasted 10 minutes of your life rather than 4 years of a college education.
Right.
Yeah, those are all great points. And I think that, when it comes to the SEO advice on YouTube, there's a lot I like and agree with, and there's a lot I dislike and disagree with. And so when I use YouTube, I tend to use it for the fundamentals, the prerequisites, the technical know-how. And then I form my own opinions on, what I should work on and what works well and what's BS. And so, we're not here to say, oh, you should stop thinking and just believe in, YouTube show X or Y. That's not what we're doing at all. What we're telling you is that you can really improve your skills with a lot of the content that's on there, and you can use that information to help form better opinions.
And even if you learn something wrong, you learn something. And it's just as effective to learn how not to do something than it is to learn how to do it right.
Yeah. And, YouTube, like I said before, it's a tool. And, tools get used in lots of different ways. And if you find your house is poorly built, are you going to go around and tell people that it was a case of bad hammer? Same thing with technical tools. It's all about how how to use them and, what you can do with them. And so it's, there's a lot of people out there that say, tool X doesn't work anymore. Unless tool X is completely offline, that's kind of a tall claim. Odds are that, if your SEO isn't effective, then you probably aren't using the right tools and techniques, or you haven't identified the actual problem you're facing. What do you guys think about blaming the tools?
From what I see, that's a big issue, only because people are inclined to look for push button things, and tools are designed to do that, create that push button thing, make your life easier. That's the intent. And when we get, even I do it to this day, you get so reliant on a tool that you can kind of put blinders on to what's actually happening around you. So I think this is probably the number one thing that still happens from beginners to advanced SEOs is we focus on what that tool is doing. What is Quora doing? Oh, no, it didn't work. So my own page didn't work because of Quora. That kind of comment and that kind of mentality holds a lot of us back sometimes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think one of my favorite sayings when somebody complains is a good craftsman doesn't blame his tools.
Yeah, we've all known that pool player that blames the pool cue. You know, sometimes it's not the pool cue's fault. Sometimes you just suck at 8-ball. So one of the courses, and what's cool about these topics that we're looking at that you can find on YouTube, is that if you don't like the particular video that I've like highlighted here, for most of these topics, you have dozens of choices. You can find one that, you know, resonates better for you and how you learn. You don't have to go with just the ones I recommend. And you know, the first thing I think you need as an SEO is to understand HTML. If you don't understand what you're going to be tuning, the actual medium that you're optimizing to perform better, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage. And people often come up to me and say, Ted, I'm a beginner. Is Cora right for me? And usually what I do is I answer the question with a question. I say, well, when Cora comes back and tells you that you need 22 more keywords and LI tags, what are you going to do next? And if they can't answer that question, then I say, well, you need to learn HTML first because you have some prerequisites before you can really utilize these tools.
Yeah, just knowing what HTML tags are is huge. I mean, H1 and meta title are so important. If those things don't mean anything to you at the start, then you're nowhere.
And what's cool is with YouTube, if you don't know this, don't feel bad, but you can learn it for free in an hour.
Yeah, and you didn't have to tell anybody. YouTube doesn't tell anyone.
And you're not saying learn HTML, you're saying learn the aspects of HTML that help make you better. So like to this day, I can't code a complete website, but I certainly know enough to get around it and change things and adapt things. So
yeah, could you find the title tag? You know, do you know how to see it? Do you know how to save an edit that you make and upload it to the server? You know, just the fundamental basics. Same thing with CSS. You'll often find that when you're making changes that you position something and it looks weird, and part of what you have to do is do no harm. So it's good to know the basics of CSS so you can fix any of your styling or presentation issues you cause inevitably with your tuning. And this is, you know, another 1 hour and a half, you can be a guru on web design. Well, maybe not a guru of web design, but at least enough to solve some simple problems.
All I did to do my course was I watched one YouTube video and then I made a new course.
JavaScript, you know, a big part of SEO is finding out why the website is broken to all hell. And oftentimes you'll see that in the JavaScript console. And if you want to take the technical gobbledygook that's in the console and get some understanding and knowledge from it, you know, you have to understand a little bit of JavaScript, find out what these errors mean, how they point to where the problem is in the source code, and ultimately how you can get in and fix things. And this one's a bit longer, looks like it's 3.5 hours. Maybe don't do that first, save it for a rainy day.
Or all at once.
jQuery is built out of JavaScript, but it's a convenience library. It changes the syntax of how you use JavaScript to be a lot more simple. There are a few conceptual hurdles to understanding how jQuery works, but oftentimes people find developing with jQuery to be far easier than developing with just straight JavaScript. And a lot of the widgets, the libraries that you can get for your website are often coded in jQuery. So jQuery is another good one to understand as well. PHP, so the fundamentals of web development, 4.5 hour course, but everybody encounters PHP. If you have a WordPress website, it's written in PHP. So if you want to customize anything in that website, you're probably going to have to get into some PHP. Clint, what do you think about PHP?
I like learning it. It's interesting, and there's some great things you can do with it. Even, with a small amount of code, you can multiply your website extensively. You've actually given a few PHP. This is some things you can do for link building or for building out domains to help support e-commerce in particular. And in the case that you gave out was e-commerce. And I love to be able to, take those things and easily implement it in something that's, honestly, this language is pretty fast to write out once you learn it.
Yep. So Kyle, with the things we've mentioned so far, with your average SEO client, how often do you encounter these things?
Well,
What percentage of engagements?
Well, it's fundamental. I mean, the HTML tags are something that you're in constantly. I mean, when you hand them information on what to, please make these changes to the content on your site, it's always changing H tags and other HTML elements. With clients though, on a daily basis, I don't get in too much with JavaScript issues or jQuery or PHP type things, but when they do it, they're usually big problems. Something's gone wrong with the site. For me, in my own SEO knowledge, I've taken many courses, not these in particular, but many courses like this to, at a minimum, understand what the language can do. So you can actually help identify, like, okay, this is something that the language can do, so that A, that's where the problem could be, but B, that's also where a solution could be, and be proficient enough to be able to talk to a developer. I also know enough Python to talk to my Python developers as well. That's what Pop is built in. So yeah, I think having just a foundational knowledge, which these can give you for free, is the kind of thing that you can then at least be able to talk to the people to figure out what's going on, to express what you need, and to troubleshoot.
Yeah, and like you said, it can also help you with your own projects, so you don't get taken advantage of by developers who exploit your ignorance on the topic.
That's correct.
But even when you start getting into more direct aspects, like how do you edit a robots.txt file? There's videos for that. And that's definitely important for SEO, because oftentimes those are misconfigured and cause problems. So you got to go in and properly configure them. And here's a 5.5 minute video to tell you how to do that. Getting explanations of what's in your tool set. So if you want a guided tour of how to read everything and how to use everything and something like Search Console, that's also available. And there's a lot of these types of tool walkthrough videos. So if you have, a need to understand a third-party tool and what it can do before you buy it, YouTube might be one of your best resources to actually get a good look at what you get when you pay for an account.
It's also good to see those because you get different perspectives, like the previous one, the Search Console, and this one, you get different perspectives on how to use that tool. So you might get it and think you're using it to its full extent, and then see a video like this and be like, holy crap, I missed out on that feature.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the kind of SEO training that's kind of agnostic of your white hat, black hat beliefs. It's just, what is it capable of doing? And when you understand that, then you can go in and say, okay, well, what are the applications of being able to use those capabilities? And so you don't need a, philosophical belief system to learn important skills off of YouTube that are relevant to SEO. You can do that just by being open-minded and willing to learn. Even things like how to use WordPress, there's a ton of stuff in this regard, and other platforms too. So if you needed to learn Shopify or Magento or Drupal, all of these things have videos. This one I just found out isn't being supported anymore. So it's probably not relevant as much since it probably doesn't work. Is that the case with it?
Yeah, the developer is no longer updating it.
I can tell you though, I know that my team used this yesterday for something that we were playing with. So I think it is still working, just it might die, right?
Yeah.
Well, and even if you have old tools and they're you still have them and they run on your computer, but nobody's supporting them anymore, you might find that your only support avenue for that legacy stuff is also YouTube videos. So it might not be as valuable, but just having that archive of tutorials for old things, that's also useful.
It does give you something to come back to later and see if it's working again. So, developers over at Google, they change things. They change the algorithm and change the math. And sometimes things that they fix before, they'll break again and leave open opportunities for you. So.
If you want to learn to speed up your WordPress website, there's a YouTube tutorial for that. There's a number of them. So you can almost type in your technology and your problem and probably find assistance. How to avoid a site migration disaster. So if you've got one coming up, it might be worthwhile to look at these types of topics on YouTube, get ideas on what you need to prepare for. And also, if you missed out on a conference you really wanted to go to, a few months later, you might start seeing the presentations where? On YouTube. This one, I was actually in the audience for this one. This was Paul Haar walking through how Google works. And a few months later, this one was up on YouTube. And so I recommend everybody watches this one because I believe they were honest about the components of search from Google's perspective. And I think that's good fundamental knowledge to have. So even if you don't believe what they claim is or isn't a factor, just understanding the departments and the data center pieces that they describe in this video is pretty important. This one surprised me quite a bit. This is a YouTube show called Smarter Every Day. And just 3 weeks of his programming was about manipulating algorithms on the internet. And this guy is like a military industry engineer, and he goes deep into engineering and science. And he went into manipulating the YouTube algorithm, and I thought it was a fascinating watch. And, there are other things I saw, how to copy files to the web server, learning basic Unix commands, how to install Apache web server on CentOS hosting, how to install LAMP on Windows, schema markup, securing WordPress, analyzing web logs, htaccess, understanding the HTTP protocol, installing certificates. I mean, the list of useful things that you will run across in SEO is nearly endless, and most of it is available for free on YouTube. So when people say you can't learn from YouTube, I can't think of a more categorically false statement than that. And because there's a ton of very valuable things for SEO that you can learn for absolutely free on YouTube. What do you think, Kyle? Did we miss any important things that people should be aware of?
I mean, it's whatever you want to learn is there. You know, it's all for the learning. The stuff that you pulled out, those videos, I took a look at a few of them before the show, and they're all on point. I mean, they will all get you to where you need to be, you know, for those things with a low cost. I mean, obviously it's free, but I mean, it's a low time investment. But yeah, anything and everything is there.
Now, we're not saying that you should avoid courses. That would be silly. What you get in a course is very specialized proprietary training. But you don't need to start there. You should obviously learn the basics of your trade. And most of those advanced courses aren't going to teach you HTML. That's not why they exist. So those courses often assume that you have a basic knowledge of the practice that the course is for, and their goal is to take that basic knowledge and make it a bit more advanced. So how do you think people who want to learn for free on YouTube should combine what's available for free with what you're offering in your course? What would be the prerequisites that they might want to consider?
Really, the biggest one would just be HTML tags. You know, those kind of things are so valuable. We've talked about before, I think, if you were to go through Quora and take the top 50 things that ping consistently as ranking factors, and if you take the factors that are listed in POP, and you figured out what all those things were and what it means when, like, you know, or how to find them on a site, you probably become one of the top 100 SEOs in the world, like overnight. So the only thing that if you had any kind of hesitation about doing a course like this, would just be to bone up on, like, do you know what an image alt looks like? Like, could you find it in the source code? You know, could you find anchor text, that sort of thing? So that's the only thing I think would be, if somebody's watching this and like, oh, I like to do my on-page course, but do I need anything in the background? I would learn those things. Just get a little basic knowledge on them.
Yeah. So Clint, what do you think about paid courses?
I like them. I still, to this day, I invest in them. You know, we bought Robbie Richards recently. We got Marie Haynes and Moon's course last week. And I'll probably buy Kyle's. You know, it's bringing in more perspectives and being able to take them at face value or combine them with other perspectives or your own testing, etc., is what makes people better SEOs. And if you get to the point where you think you know everything and that your method is the only way and the right way, you're going to be left out in the cold sooner rather than later, in my opinion. So keeping that open mind and looking at as many places to learn and gather information from, and apply your own brain and common sense to that data is what's key.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that brings us to NFG Rockstars, which is a conference that's coming up. Highly recommend you check it out. It's October 1st and 2nd. I will be speaking there. I will be showing you how to find what's going on when your tools give you weird readings. They give you bizarre measurements, and you're like, you know, what the heck is going on with that? That can't be right. What do you do with those? How do you investigate from them? And how do you learn awesome SEO by exploring the outliers? Kyle, what are you talking about at NFG?
I'm talking about, so last year I spoke a lot about the rhinoplasty plano competition, and this year I'm kind of expanding on that, kind of lessons that I learned and kind of applying them into what I'm doing in SEO today. there's a fair amount of on-page stuff, and then a lot of it has to do with a lot of the blowback that I got from people on rhinoplasty plano, like, oh, it didn't work because of that, or it didn't work because of that, or it would never work again because of this, and then kind of showing that that's wrong. It's kind of a big part of what I'm doing.
I can't wait. If you didn't see the rhinoplasty plano presentation that Kyle did last year, that was hands down the best presentation in SEO at any conference anywhere.
Well, cheers. So, if you liked the intro, the intro is I put into the intro of this course. So if that was entertaining and you liked that, and I go through actually the what the competition was. So that's all part of the intro part of the on-page course.
So yeah, I'm excited to see your presentation this year, but just know the bar is really high.
We'll see what we can do. I have a new story. So last year, I was telling a story about Thales. This year, I've got a story about somebody else you probably never heard of. But it's a pretty interesting. It's a good story.
Oops, I was muted. So Clint, do you know your topic yet?
I'm going to be talking about anchor text, go a little bit deeper into that, and analyzing your anchor text, figuring out your ratios, determining your competitive baseline, and then how to use tools like Popcore, Google NLP, etc., to find anchor text to be targeting and to be used, and it removes a lot of the fear out of anchor text percentages and etc. that people are focusing on today. And then also I'll talk about the canonical, the negative SEO attack, I guess it were, or the negative SEO process, how that works out, so make it easier for people to identify that, and then perhaps even how to use that for reputation management.
Holy cow, that right there is a mega nugget, because that is knowledge that most like reputation management SEOs will never share. So that's a big one.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm doing it either.
Foolishness.
Yeah, you're gonna make some enemies in the industry by sharing that for sure. All right, well, you should definitely check it out, and if you want to hang out with us and other amazing famous SEOs and have a beer and talk shop, or get some help on that one problem you're having, check out this show. Come hang out.
Oh, that'd be a lot of fun.
And I'd like to thank you for our episode. Do we have any questions? Oh, I think you're muted.
There we go. A lot of questions from the course about the course is one from Dan Hale: is the course reading material or solely video based?
So we've got both. So it's videos. It's a slide deck, and so for each one you get the video of it, and I provide the slide deck, and then if there are any resources that went along with it, that's on each lesson, like
templates, etc.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, and the private chat group at IMG.
Exactly, which I actually think will be pretty big too. So you can, I will be in it. So if you say, hey Kyle, on this lesson, what did you mean? Like, I'll come in and I'll answer those questions.
I know you said that you only have module 1 almost completed. How many hours of course material do you think you're going to have altogether? Well,
so what's going in today, which is, I think half of module 1 is 21 lessons, or 21 videos. But all the videos, I'm trying to keep them really succinct for a couple of reasons. One is watching a long video is just the worst. My attention span wanes at about 8 minutes. So I'm trying to keep them all really 2 to 3 minutes is really what I'm shooting for. But then also, if something changes, it allows me just to modify that one piece. So I can, I'm intending this to be a living course, in the sense of that if something changes in SEO, I think I'm breaking it out enough that I could go in and just modify that one thing, and then keep the continuity of the course together. Because as I said, it's trying to put a framework together. I don't know how many hours it is going to be in the end. not a ton, but just because it's kind of broken up in those little segments.
Mhm.
And you don't hear me pontificate. I try to avoid that as good as that as I am. I can talk for hours, but I'm really trying to keep that to a minimum.
And then the last question, what do you get exactly with the IMG membership? So I guess it's kind of a, so what? Why should I go pro?
Oh, Ted, what are they getting with the IMG membership?
Well, once we go live, we are going to have testing software, that same software you've seen me present, where I can deploy my tests to 10 different websites and get back my results on those testing. I'm releasing that software to our paid members. So whether you use it or not, you have access to it. The other thing that you're going to get is there's a whole community of testers that we're working with, and we're going to start producing SEO tests at a very rapid pace and very cool information that we've already got queued up. I've seen some of the test results that some of our testers have already done in preparation, and it's blown my mind. Like, I've literally said that this one person's test is the best research I've seen all year. Makes everything I myself have done look feeble in comparison. And I can't wait until you can see that. But that's in IMG. That's what we're doing.
And Ted, there's also going to be the leaderboards showing factor movement, which I think is one of the most unique things ever. So there'll be a leaderboard where you can go in and see, like, if there was a rumbling in the SERPs that day, you can go in and see if things shifted to see if a certain factor is more loved by Google at that moment. So you can actually see factors rise and fall. There's going to be SEO checklists where the idea is that Ted has populated from some of his stuff a whole bunch of checklists identifying what things are. So if you saw the negative SEO episode, that list will be in the paid side of things. But the idea is that then you can go and identify things and you can add to it. So if somebody's figured something out, it's going to be they can add to the list, and then users can contribute, so that we end up getting, really the goal there is to have one of the best SEO resources of all time, where if you have a question about something, you can go see an answer for it, or at least kind of point you in the right direction to get some general idea of, like, what are we dealing with in the first place, and then kind of move on from there. So that'll also be on the paid side.
The feature I like about Ted's software is Ted can do a test and tell me, hey, this is X, Y, and Z. And I kind of, like, right now, I would have to trust Ted. You know what I mean? That's why I got to take Ted's word for it, because I can't duplicate his test exactly. When he made that software, that eliminated that. So now there's complete peer review. You're not dependent on Kyle, Ted, or anyone else's scientific test. You have the test as it was done, and you can replicate it and see if you can replicate the results, which is awesome.
That's the biggest thing about it too. I know Ted and I share this opinion. We differ on a lot of things that we test about, but the one thing that we totally share is I don't mind being wrong. Like, it does not hurt my feelings one bit. If somebody says, hey, I saw a test you did 3 years ago and I reran it, didn't work, I'm like, that's great. Let's figure it out. So either, you tested something slightly different. Maybe my test was wrong. Maybe your test was wrong. Maybe things have changed. All those outcomes are good. All those outcomes are totally fine. And there's no pride in any of that. I would prefer that people are running their own tests so that they can show what they're finding. That's only for the better. And so when Ted is going to give his software, obviously there's a learning curve with everything, but once you've got it, it allows you to run your own SEO tests at a very high level, at a super high level.
Well, and it's built in a way that you can test the way you want. So if you want to do the old school 2 above, 2 below, test case in the middle style testing, the software can do that. And it makes it easy to mock up tests quickly, to redeploy tests. So if something went wrong, or if you just want to replicate, a basic test on 10 different test sites, it makes it easy to do that. And, that's the idea. We're not trying to pigeonhole you into a specific belief set. We're trying to make tools that makes testing more accessible.
That's exactly it. Like, you don't have to believe what we believe to be involved. It'd be great if you didn't, because it only provide another opinion.
But like Clint said, if you don't necessarily exactly agree with how a published test is done, part of what we're publishing is the specification that the software uses. So you could load it up, tweak it, redeploy it, and get, different evidence.
Yeah. So again, you're not beholden. Even if you like the test, you're not beholden to the results because you can verify for yourself. One other thing too is that so right now in IMG we've got a few chat rooms. There will be chat rooms that are paid, that are not the free chat rooms. So like Core and Pop support, which was the Skype group that we'll be eliminating shortly, that will always be free. But there will be certain things where different groups that go for very specific interests, maybe like Facebook ads or AdWords ads or Instagram ads or those types of groups for people that are looking for that specific type of information. Those will be paid groups. Like also with the on-page group, like the only way to get into that is to be a paid member, but of this course. So you don't necessarily have to be a paid member of IMG to get access to that one in particular, but those types of things will exist. Groups that you can get access to get specific information that won't be the free groups that we have.
Yep. And what features will we have for free users? What unpaid features will people get?
Well, so we've got the video section now, which that library will continue to grow. We're gonna have newsletters that will continue to grow as well. So you can get that kind of information. We're also gonna have a tool library. Clint, I don't think you've seen this yet, but the idea is like, how everyone says, does anybody know a tool that does nah? We're gonna have a page that basically has every tool. And it'll be a place for people to put reviews on tools. I used it for this, it was great, 4 stars. So then when somebody is looking for a particular tool, they can go in and look at the resource and say like, okay, this tool might do what I need to do. And actually get some opinions from people that are actually using it or have used it. So that's going up probably in the next couple of days, and that'll be free as well.
Yep, and we're working on one that aggregates all the SEO related headlines into one place. I think Clint will like that one the most. So every day you can go and see all the headlines just aggregated and in one spot, and you can paginate back by day to see previous day's headlines.
Yeah, that'll actually be some synergy with your course, Clint, because people could kind of look at some headlines that they like, and if it's talked about on your course or on your show, then they can participate in that conversation. There's some investment in being involved, or they can even make suggestions for you too. Hey, this was a cool article that I found. Check it out.
Yeah, those are typically how I find my best articles or user suggestions. So,
yeah, and what's amazing about seeing the aggregated list is it shows you how much work Clint is doing, because on a daily basis, there's normally like, 100, 150 headlines per day.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, you can get all the news you want, all the shows you want, a lot of the learning that you want, find what you need, and even participate in some good chat. And that'll all be free. And that'll be free forever.
We won't even steal your mortgage. Well, maybe Kyle will.
I'm still working on it.
All right,
you guys want to answer in one SEO question before we leave? Since we
yeah.
Courses and groups and everything else, so I figure throw one in there. A question is from Perfect Woodgrain: is what do you guys think about rank math? It's becoming increasingly more popular in the SEO community. What do you think about that, and or using SEO plugins?
Clint, you might be the best answer because I think you've played with it more than we have. So it's a schema tool by and large, correct? Is that a little unfair to call it that, or is that primarily what it does?
Looked like it, because I looked at this earlier. I saw the question on YouTube from before. It looks like it also lets you set up roles where different user roles have access to different SEO fields that can be populated for your posts and pages. So it seems like it's one of those plugins that's for being able to manipulate the SEO fields of your website.
Yeah, think of it as a Yoast competitor with enhanced features to make things more accessible. Like they have schema implementation built inside of Rank Math, and then there's a few other things. Personally, I don't use it. I like the simplicity of Yoast combined with insert headers and footers, because I'm typically writing my own schema for local sites in particular. For mass sites, large sites, then Yoast has always been good enough for me. So I don't use Rank Math. My opinion is find the tool that's going to work best for your workflow. Don't pick one and get, you can pick one essentially and get bogged down into it, and just be ready to move in case something happens, and know what you have to have set up if you have to migrate to a new plugin. Rank Math is free. They're building it out extensively. How are they supporting that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't used it yet, so I can't speak for how effective it is for SEO. But I did play with the demonstration of it, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd probably also want to get some reviews from people who have used it successfully.
Yeah. Or just install it on a test site and see how many features of those features that it has are you really going to use that, and is it overkill? At some point, it could be overkill.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's always fun to have a site where you can just tinker and break.
Yeah, for sure. Lee Witcher wants to know if you're going to have t-shirts available at Rockstars.
If you wear one of our t-shirts at Rockstars, I will sign it for you. No problem.
T-shirts at Rockstars. I guess we could bring some swag, huh?
Or just place the order from. Like, I don't have one.
Wait, Lee, just buy the course. T-shirt.
Yeah, the only way you get the t-shirt is if you buy the course. That's the only reason we're running the print right now. And we may not print them again. So
this is a bit of an inside joke, because when Ted was talking about one of the greatest finds of all time, it came from Lee. So we might let Lee get a free t-shirt. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose if he shares his research with the IMG.
I like that a lot. You want the t-shirt? You gotta post a test.
And all I got was this t-shirt.
Don't do it.
I post the most amazing research of all time online. All I got was a stupid t-shirt.
Don't fall for it, Lee. I'll show you how to make them. We'll black hat the t-shirts.
Hey.
And we'll do a group buy for him, damn it. All right, that's it for questions.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Enjoy your lunch if you're in our part of the world. If not, enjoy whatever meal's coming up. And we'll talk to you next time. Let me go back briefly, because you probably didn't have enough time to type in that URL. So here it is one last time. And Kyle will go around to the various Skype groups and the IMG chats, and we'll post it too. So you can just click it if you're in those. Type it if you're not. That's why we did it, because you get to click it if you sign up for IMG. Otherwise, you got to type it in.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
See you later, everyone.